Good job. Okay.
Should be recording now.
Yes. Thank you, Liam. Okay, following the governor's restrictions on public meetings, this meeting of the Shutesbury Conservation Commission is being held virtually using zoom.com for remote participation only. The public may access it following the instructions in this meeting's agenda posted on the town's website.
Thank you, Linda. And let's start by considering the minutes from, or Liam, did you want to double check with the person who is in the wings?
Yeah, maybe we should do that first and then consider the minutes.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, I'm admitting her now.
Well, there's like one of those little square boxes that came up on the left. I don't know how to get it out of it. I suppose I could ask them. Right here.
So maybe while we're waiting for Katie to connect,
On the box somewhere?
we can quickly consider the minutes.
No.
That works for me.
Okay, and Liam, you can interrupt when you see that she's connected. So has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
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 Everyone okay with them?
I don't know how to get it out.
Yes.
Can someone make a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll accept them. The way they were
Russ,
presented.
okay. A second, please.
I second.
And all in favor, please state your name and say aye.
Robin Harrington, aye.
Hmm.
Liam Cregan, aye.
On the screen, submit it.
Russ and Zula, aye.
Kenny Jake's aye. Okay. So we'll start with then next our news items and updates. Southbrook Conservation Area Intern. I have made contact with Kayla. We've gone back and forth a couple times in email and are going to try to set up a time to meet on the Southbrook area to go over the questions that she has. And when I do that, I don't know if anyone else is interested in joining me. It's a beautiful property and it's might be an interesting thing to go see. So if you are interested, let me know and I'll try to, I'll make sure you know when we do that.
I'm interested in attending. I think I've been out to that area before, but it's been 4 or 5 years. So
Okay.
it'd be nice to check it out again.
Great.
All right, it does look like Katie is here now. So I'm gonna
Okay.
unmute her now. Let's see.
Hi there, everybody. I'm still working on technical stuff. Hello. Happy
Hi, Katie.
Thursday.
We just want to ask you your full name and if you could state why you're here, what public hearing you're here for the record, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. My name is Katie Sereau, and I'm here to hear a little bit more about what's going on over at 32 Lake Drive.
All right, great. So the public hearing for that is at 7:30. So we're just going to mute you until then. And
Perfect.
then at that public hearing, if you could turn on your video and just raise your hand if you have a question. That's how we'll do it.
You got it. Thank you very
All right.
much.
Thank you.
Okay. Lake lowering MOU. We're going to continue that. I haven't made any progress on that with Mark Rivers, but I will.
Can I interject for a second?
Yep.
If you could just include me when you let Liam know when the Southbrook Conservation Area visit is, and if I'm free, I might want
Great,
to attend.
good. Well, it's great for many of us to know about the properties that we take care of. So that's wonderful. Shutesbury Highway Department Annual Project List. Linda?
Yes, okay, so I happened to see Tim Hunting when I was in town hall briefly on Monday, and he asked me if I had received the list, which hasn't been forthcoming. He thought for sure he had emailed it, so I emailed him back to say it hadn't arrived, so response is, we're making progress.
Well, that's excellent. So you'll keep us posted.
I will.
Open space and recreation plan, trail inspection.
So I guess that was, well, I still don't know from Becky if, what FERCog's plans are relative to the, update of the plan. But something else that I learned through the MSMCP weekly series is, just reviewing the status of trails, which you'll be doing one when you go to Southbrook.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're on track.
You're on track.
And I will say, Linda, that I would like to meet with, is it Becky or the select board who's the connection with FERCog on this?
I think it would be Becky.
Okay, sometime after town meeting when life settles down a little bit. So if you could just make a tickler file for that.
Yep.
Liam, Fort River Watershed Study, any movement on that?
There is no movement. I managed to miss the meeting. So I did not get to hear from the experts on this one.
Well, right.
So unfortunately, it was my mistake. I missed the email with the scheduled video call.
Okay. Well, we'll keep posted on that as time goes on. Wetland Protection Bylaw Review Update. All of you, most of you, weigh in.
Well, Robin, Liam, you want to say something or?
Well, the copies that we had gotten the day we were going to have our little mini Zoom and talk about it, Linda had found the revision. And so we had, Liam and I agreed we like the new one better. And that would be the jump off thing for.
Can you quickly describe what the major differences are between the two?
I would have to go and find, or if Linda, if you can do that quickly.
I don't think we're essentially prepared to make a presentation
Okay.
tonight,
Yeah.
correct? I think.
I would say that's correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we had our preliminary meeting, and I found the 2011, and so we spent some time with that. But we're doing more research, Penny. So
Okay. Well, just keep the commission posted as you move forward on that.
yes, we're meeting again on next Tuesday, the 30th.
Great.
And did
We're
we
gonna-
find out why remind me again why the one wasn't put?
Yes,
That meeting, your email said something about they didn't agree on it, or?
that's what I know. That's what I know, that there wasn't. Originally, it was going to be, I talked with Penny a bit, and originally it was, and we'll talk about this in our meeting, because
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Status of ANRAD applications. So in preparation for this meeting, I contacted Emily Stockman to see where she was with things, and here is what she said to me. For the Baker Road ANRAD, supplemental review comments are in draft form. I anticipate having them out by Friday, and in fact, they came today, correct, Linda?
Yes, they came, well, I saw them just
Late
before
this
the meeting, so I
afternoon.
forwarded them to everyone. Yeah.
Right. Montague Road, she stated, I've received the updated plans from TRC. When Maria and I spoke last, she requested that we return to Montague as well. There's a question about the location of the CVP, which I believe is certified vernal pool, that I asked about. When TRC overlaid the natural heritage data layer, they noted that the CVP is not within any of the areas identified in the field. So, and then there's in parentheses, see revised plans, which I haven't had to look at. I just got this today. We are going to go back to the site with GPS coordinates to check it out. So I will try to go along on that. Pratt Corner West, Emily is meeting with Maria on Friday, tomorrow, and you probably all saw that she asked if anyone wanted to join her. So if you do want to join her, please email her. And then Pratt Corner East, she says, I anticipate having supplement review comments to the commission next week, and I believe we have those as well. Right, Linda?
Pardon me?
That we have the Pratt Corner East
And Baker.
comments.
Yes, yes, you'll all see that in an email that I sent just before the meeting.
So that is the update on that front. And the next topic, I just need to close this document.
Do you want to say about the page 1?
Oh, right. So as you all know, there's kind of a funny discrepancy on page 1 with the owner information listing Kohl's as the owner and listing the mailing address of Kohl's, but listing it's Aries Power, right? Is that Linda?
Yes, yes.
And Aries Power's email and contact and phone number. And so I had never seen it done like that before. I talked with both, or I emailed with both Mark Stinson and Emily Stockman, and the clearest guidance I got was from Emily, which said, if Aries Power doesn't want to be listed as the applicant, essentially all the information should be Kohl's information on that front page. So I am going to request to Maria that that be adjusted to reflect that. So slight progress on that. And then proposed amendment to the solar bylaw. So I hope all of you had a chance to look at the draft of comments that I sent out to you.
Yep.
Yep. And I'm wondering if anyone has a reaction to that, thoughts about that, revisions to that. I thought we could have a quick discussion.
So I definitely agree with the general sentiment that, you know, we need to be critically thinking about where we're siting solar. And that a town like Shutesbury, which is primarily forest, is not necessarily the place that I think we should be siting solar. So I agree with that sentiment. But I can't remember the specifics of the revision that you proposed.
You can't remember the specifics of the statement or the bylaw? Oh, I don't think I can hear you, Liam.
I said the bylaw.
So let me see if I can quickly find another document. Hold on.
Yeah, I wasn't totally familiar with the original, but I really support the idea of that these installations don't come at the expense of these important natural areas. And they were pretty, you know, specific in here.
Okay, so the original bylaw limits, among many other things, limits the size of solar farms to 15 acres. And just thinking back, the Wheelock Solar Farm off of Pratt Corner Road was a 30-acre development. And so the original solar bylaw came into effect sort of concurrent to the process of permitting the Wheelock Solar Farm. And it has a number of protections, but the new things are in the purposes section of the amended bylaw. It emphasizes protection of large blocks of forest land for their ecological and other benefits, which I addressed in the statement that I sent to you. A change now is that commercial forestry is prohibited in the, one of the other aspects of the solar bylaw is that you can develop 15 acres for a solar farm, but you have to match that with 4 times that much land as protected land for carbon sequestration. And in the previous bylaw, I guess you could conduct forestry on that additional land over the course of the solar panels being in place. But now commercial forestry is prohibited on that portion of the property.
Unless there's a natural event requiring.
Right.
Unless there's a big wind throw or something on
Or a
that.
fire or some other thing, but right.
Okay.
So yes. Now they're saying that they're asking applicants or construction crews to create a wildflower meadow in and around the solar panel to favor pollinators. That historic resources and properties are protected, and that protection is enhanced in the new bylaw. And I'm reading you a summary, not directly from the bylaw, so I'm talking in generalities here. Construction access is required from paved roads with guidance from the planning board on approval of any waivers. So for those of you who live on, well, I don't know, Linda lives on an unpaved road. It's, you know, it's a challenging thing to have a major construction project accessed by via an unpaved road. So there's currently a frontage requirement for construction in town, which is, I believe, 250 feet. So any solar installation has to have at least that much road frontage somewhere. Likely the project itself would be in, you know, the back forest land, but the property has to include that much frontage. The new bylaw limits the number of, they've carved up the town into 9 major areas and are saying that solar can happen. There can be 1 installation in each of these 9 areas so that a major, you know, one part of town doesn't end up with 8 solar farms, just trying to spread it out some. There's a permit criteria now that indicates that, let's see, incompatible appearance from the roadway has to be minimized. So basically, as you look down the road to the access for the solar farm, it doesn't look that different from what you see now. So no big industrial structure. And then they are incorporating a suggestion, which I had made early on, which is that all applicants file an ANRAD before the special permit application is submitted. And I actually think people are going to do that anyway. I think it's the way that things are going to be done in the future, but it's good to get that in the bylaw. And then the last thing is also very relevant to the commission. It's that ground alterations, drainage facilities, and solar panels. So all of the disturbed area has to be greater than 100 feet from the wetlands or hydrologic features. So nothing can be in the buffer zone. So it's great when they do the NRAD, you can clearly figure out where the wetlands are, and the project can be designed so that it stays outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. So those are the major features. There, you know, it's like 10 pages long, and I encourage you all to read it, but that's the big hits. So, questions?
Those all sound like great details that I hadn't fully considered. But,
Yeah, well, you know, the planning board hadn't fully considered all these things either until a project came before them. It's a great way to learn how to do things better. And, you know, it's interesting to me that one of the biggest movers of development in the state right now is solar farms. So I don't think I was aware of what a push there is for that. And while I think it's a great thing, I think it needs to be done carefully and under very careful permitting. So does anyone object to me getting up at town meeting and reading this statement? Would you like it to say something different?
No, I think you
I'm
got
fine
it.
with this.
agreed.
Okay,
Want to vote?
should we vote? Okay, can someone move that that Penny be allowed to make this statement at Saturday's annual meeting?
Let's do it. Let's let a Shutesbury resident do it. I was gonna do it.
Russ, Robin?
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
make a motion that Penny present this at the meeting on Saturday, and it is supported by the Conservation Commission.
Second, please. Russ, can you second?
I'll second it. Russ
Okay,
Missoula. White.
thank you. All in favor, please state your name and say aye.
Robin Harrington, aye.
Russ Missoula, aye.
Liam Cregan, aye.
Penny Jakes, aye. And just a push for town meeting. It's going to be interesting. It's under a tent behind Town Hall. I know there's an effort to try and make things go quickly, but we'll see. And just, there are two other planning board amended bylaws before town meeting. And just so you know, all of them require a 2/3 vote to pass. So if you can come, if you support this, come and vote. It's an interesting experience. Okay, we have a few more minutes before our 7:30.
We do have a few more people in the waiting room.
Okay,
so
you want to check in with them,
with
Liam?
them now, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Trying to unmute Karen and Roy. Yeah. Hi, Karen and Roy. Would you be able to state your full names and which public hearing you're here for?
Oh, yes, Roy LeClaire and Karen Keegan, mainly for the 32 Lake Drive.
All right, great. So we're going to start that hearing in a couple minutes. And once it comes time for public to ask questions, we'll turn your video on and you can raise your hand to ask a question if you have one.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So shall we quickly talk about the site visit schedule?
Sure.
Yes.
So Linda, it looks like there are 2 site visits in the offing.
Yes. So as I wrote to you in your email, there are 2 site visits. One is to 24 Lake Drive, and that's a building permit application for a 16 by 16 foot patio on a concrete slab. And so that property is on the lake, though you'll have to take a look when you make the site visit. Because it's a accessory structure, it's possible that if it's greater than 50 feet from the mean annual high water line, with erosion control, it could be exempt, but you'll have to see because they're putting in a slab and where it's located. And then the second one is at 52 Shore Drive, and that's a building permit for leveling a corner of the cottage and replacing some piers. That's greater than 100 feet from the lake, and there don't seem to be any wetlands, at least mapped wetlands. So there are those 2. Plus, today I received a phone message from a resident of Great Pines Drive who observed that last week a culvert was installed, or a pipe, he said a pipe, was installed under Lake Drive in the vicinity of Great Pines Drive. And the person who called was concerned that the commission, whether the commission was aware of that installation, and the commission, from my knowledge, is not aware of it. And so when you go over to Lake Drive, you can take a look at that.
Okay. Okay.
So, when so you'll have to think about when you want to make those site visits, and I'll get them scheduled
Okay.
with the
So Liam, my sense is you have the most complicated schedule at this point.
It's not very complicated. I am working 30 hours a week, but I can work around site visits as well. So
Okay.
really anytime.
Do you want to suggest some times that are easier for you?
Sure. I think that anytime, maybe before 11 a.m. Would be great. Maybe like a 9 or 10 during the week. So that would be my preference. Beyond that, I'm pretty flexible.
Is there a day of the week that's better for you?
No.
No? Okay. Robin, Russ?
9 or 10 in the morning is great for me. I'm currently doing that Zoom yoga class on Thursday mornings that sponsored by the Friends of the Library. But any other day would be totally fine.
Okay.
10 o'clock works good for me.
What was that, Russ?
10 o'clock works good for me.
Okay.
As long as I have like a day or so ahead to know, I says any day is good for me. I don't care.
Okay. So Linda, how quickly can you schedule something?
I have emailed both parties. I've not received responses back from them, but I let them know that you've received their building permit applications and that I would be contacting them to arrange a site visit. Okay. So I don't imagine we could do it tomorrow, but I could contact them tomorrow if you wanted to do it early next week.
Right. I'm not available until next week. I'm not available tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not available tomorrow either. So Monday, Tuesday?
Tuesday. Wait a minute, I got a doctor's appointment. Let me find out. It's Monday. I've been waiting for this one.
And also, it's 7:31 now, just so you all know.
Okay, okay.
So.
Okay, well, why don't we pause this discussion? And we'll start by opening the continued public hearing for ANRAD at ZW-6, which is the Pratt Corner Road West ANRAD. And we will continue that until July 23rd at 7:30. Does anyone have an objection to that? That's our second meeting in July, and it's in the same time slot as they had for tonight.
You'll need a motion.
May I have a motion?
I'll second it.
I move that we postpone this public hearing to July 23rd at 7:30 for
Okay,
AMRAD ZW-6.
I second the motion.
all in favor, please state your name and vote.
Russ
Robin
Missoula, aye.
Arrington. Oh. Robin Arrington, aye.
Liam Cregan, aye.
You heard me, right? Russ Missoula, aye.
And Penny Jake's aye. Okay. Now, I need to turn on the light, just a minute. Spread things out a little bit so I can see this big site plan. So, we will open the public hearing for the notice of intent at 32 Lake Drive. And I'm sorry, applicants, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name. Maybe you can help me with that in a minute. The project is to raise an existing cottage, rebuild a house with a full foundation, and install a new well and a new septic system. And just for the record, a Chapter 91 license application, it has been or is being submitted to DEP for the seasonal dock.
It's been submitted.
It has been submitted.
Yes.
Okay.
Looks
So-
like we have another person in the waiting room too, so I'm just gonna admit them.
Hi, good evening. This is Jeff LeBeau.
Hi, Jeff. Are you here for the public hearing about 32 Lake Drive?
Yes, I am the civil engineer representing the owners.
All right,
Oh,
great.
great. Happy to have you here.
Great. Steve and Megan, you guys are on. How you doing? Good.
All right, so Jeff, for the time being, I'm gonna mute you. If you have something to say, just raise your hand.
Well,
Okay.
actually,
Actually-
why don't we leave him part of this because he is the civil engineer who put the project together. And so it may be helpful to have him weigh in as we discuss this and have questions. And then for abutters who have questions or concerns, we'll keep them muted until the commission works its way through the discussion. So,
I can mute myself until it's time to talk, though.
well, okay, but we hope you'll participate in the discussion so we get a
Oh,
better
absolutely.
understanding. We haven't done this public hearing for a notice of intent via Zoom yet, so bear with us as we work our way through this. And perhaps either the applicants or the civil engineer would like to give a quick overview of the project, just for the record here. Would one of you
Yeah.
like to do that?
You want me to lead it off, Steve, and then you guys can chime in
Sure.
if you want. I do have screen share capabilities, so if you guys wanted to look at a site plan, I could kind of walk you through that as well. It's up to the group.
Yeah, we do have large scale site plans. We were provided with those, so that was very helpful. Thank you.
Right,
Okay.
but Penny, excuse me,
Yeah.
may I interrupt that? It will be helpful because the people who are visiting can't see it.
Oh, okay.
So if
Would you
Okay,
like me
up to you,
to
but-
share a screen and then I can walk you through the site plan?
Sure. Why don't we start with that? That'd be great.
Okay, great. So again, my name is Jeff LeBeau, civil engineer for Steve and Megan at 32 Lake Drive. Let's see, is the screen sharing working? I think someone's got to give me permission.
Oh, let's see.
So as you guys all know, the lots are tiny up there. approximately 100 feet by 40 feet wide. It's a lakefront property. The owners are planning on demolishing the house. They're going to keep the same footprint, and they're going to build a bona fide basement. Can you guys see that plan?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if that works,
I could not figure out how to make you screen share, Jeff, but I have this up. So if you
oh,
just
you
want us
pulled it
to-
up. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm viewing your screen. Okay, I was like, wait, where's the mouse? So that's perfect, and that's the right view. So you can see the house. What is it, Steve? What are the dimensions? 30.
23 wide by 31 deep.
Okay. And it's pretty much smack in the middle of their lot. So they're looking to demolish that, build new footprint according with the bylaws, and the same put a new foundation and just 2-story, but it's going to be deed restricted to 2-bedroom house. Last month we did have a Board of Health meeting as well, and we went through that process for local upgrade approval, and that was a successful meeting, but it's contingent upon Conservation Commission review and approval. So it's a multi-step process here. Steve and Megan filed with DEP and the local Conservation Commission a full notice of intent. And there's approximately, in the 100-foot buffer zone, there's approximately 3,800 square feet of disturbance, if you will. That's, the wetland review area. But about half of that is actual impact on the lower half of the lot where you'd have some runoff. And we're proposing a double layer of silt sock kind of horseshoeing the site, as you can see. That's that thicker dashed line that kind of goes around the perimeter. They do have some temporary wood and metal docks in right now, and that's a separate, I believe, Chapter 91 license, Steve, that you guys applied for.
Yeah, we sent all that.
And I don't know if there's a local process for that, but it is part of this overall application. They're also looking to put a new well in. The only way they could get a new septic system that is compliant is to relocate their well in the upper right-hand corner of the lot. Thank you. And so we're also proposing a new house in the same footprint, new well, and then an upgraded septic system. There are a couple retaining walls. One will most likely on the right-hand side or the southeast side is going to be a timber wall, I believe, Steve, right?
Yeah, we're still up in the air on that.
Okay, so timber or concrete, it's to just catch the grades. We do have to bring some fill into the front, which is actually going to help the overall drainage and runoff of the lot, because as you guys know that live in the area, it kind of drops off steeply, and then it's just a slope all the way down to the lake. So what we're providing here is more of a flatter surface up front, some retaining walls, a higher finished floor entrance to the new house, and then some steps on the left side, and then on the right-hand side as you're facing the lake, we're just going to gently grade it down. They're also proposing a porch on the back, but we're staying outside of the 25-foot buffer zone. That's the high-level overview. We can get into more specifics and details as questions come up.
And you, as I look at the plan on the, I guess it's the south side, there are a bunch of black rectangles on the large scale plan that I have. And I'm trying to figure out what those are.
I think those were an artifact when I sent the PDF to the printing company to print them out. I think it was just because they printed in black and white, and I think it was
Was it?
It was just a shaded color that it got picked up by the printer, I believe, because I don't see them on it. Well, I didn't see them on the PDF when I sent it.
Okay, yeah, that was very confusing.
Yeah.
Was it a solid like black box?
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Okay.
are 1, 2,
You know
3,
what?
4, 5, 6,
I-
7, 8, 9, 10 of them.
Oh, okay. I have had that trouble when I've had Staples or another group print from a PDF. I think it's just in the software conversion.
Okay.
But yeah, no, on the originals, we are showing a series of neighboring wells, and then which are rectangular shape or circles, and then some septic tanks which are rectangular, etc. Yep,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
So I do have a basic question, which is why is the well located so close to the lake? Can that not be moved further away from the lake shore?
I believe it could be moved further away. I think our goal was to maximize the distance from the leaching field, but obviously there are others that we did get local upgrade approval that are closer. So it was just, if the commission is agreeable to it, I think, Steve, we would be agreeable to bring it closer to the house.
Yeah, I mean, there's not
That
much.
was the only intent, was let's just try to get it furthest away from the septic, but obviously I see the concern. We don't want to get too close with any dredge spoils or whatever getting into the lake.
Right.
So I would say, yes, there is some flexibility. I probably wouldn't want to move it more than 10 feet closer though, my opinion.
So I would like to, and this is Penny speaking, I would like to see well, I'm not sure you need multiple silt fence. I know in the narrative it talks about putting in the silt fence closest to the lake for the well and then putting another one in later. My feeling is if you move the well to say 15, it's hard to tell because I don't see how far the well is. There's no measurement there. I'm guessing it's 5 feet.
I can measure it if, do you
Yeah,
have, Liam, do you have the ability to let me screen share?
I am not sure. I will stop sharing for a moment and see if I can do that.
I believe that's a 10 scale, and I tried to verify it with a ruler, and it did look like it was 1 inch is 10 feet. So that gets you pretty close.
Yeah, I have my AutoCAD pulled up. I can measure it. I was going to do it live for you guys, but I just didn't want to. So if we can't screen share, then I can just physically measure it right now. So from the water's edge, looks like 7.5 feet. No, hold on. To the center of it, 8.8 feet is the closest point to the water right now.
Yeah, so right now, Jeff, I only have the ability to allow you to record.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have the ability to allow you to screen share.
Okay, that's fine.
So.
What's the distance, Russ Missoula asking, what's the distance from that well to the septic tank?
As shown right now?
Yes.
Center well to the closest point on the septic tank, 69 feet.
69?
Correct.
To the tank or the leach field?
Tank.
Okay.
That's what you asked, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
how much is it from a leach field?
And I know, that's something that the board
measuring that right now.
will, if there's a change, they will want to know about that.
78 feet to the leaching field.
Okay.
So like I said earlier, yeah, there's a little bit of room, and I think that would be a good compromise. A little further away from the lake and that water resource, but still far enough away from their own septic.
And I'd also ask you to, at the same time, move the silt fence up a similar distance.
Sure. Okay. So that the actual silt sock is further away from the lake as well.
And are you planning on a silt sock for this?
Yeah, we were going to do silt fence, and then Linda had recommended you guys prefer the silt sock, and I actually agree with that. Or someone had mentioned it to me, and
I generally
that's actually a
do.
good idea.
My only concern is with the amount of excavation associated with the well and the foundation. I'm rethinking that a little bit. Do you feel like the silt sock is adequate for protection for that?
Well, it's a multi it's a multi-stepped answer. If it's a larger sock and it's heavy enough, probably yes. If it's one of those kind of wimpy things, then I'd say no. So we really should kind of pay attention to the construction. And silt fence is usually towed in like 4 inches, whereas the silt socks are gravity. So if it's a heavier, like a wood mulch, like an Excelsior, I've seen that. I mean, those are fine. They're not going to move.
Okay,
But I understand your concern. If there's a lot and then you get a big gully washer, you don't want it blowing out underneath the sock.
right,
But
exactly.
we could maybe as part of hopefully proposed approval, we could put as a condition, either your tow-in silt fence or silt sock with maybe more frequent staking and of a bigger size. So just, to control it before construction begins, maybe we got to, give it a thumbs up or sign off on it
Mhm.
as an idea.
Okay.
It looks like Katie has a question. Is that okay
We're
if
not taking questions from the general public until the commission is finished asking questions.
Okay, great. Just wanted to
So we're
acknowledge
going to
that.
wait a few more minutes if everyone is okay with that. So I know a frequent concern by residents on the lake and also other people who care about the lake is runoff. And do you have a plan to deal with the runoff from this project, from the site, from the roof of the house? Have you thought about how you're going to deal with that?
We have a little bit. And essentially with our proposed grading plan, it's actually going to minimize a lot of the runoff. One of the comments that came up with the Board of Health was Stebbins Road that kind of comes down in its close proximity. And some of the water kind of comes right across Lake Drive into their property and then down, sheet flow across their property. So essentially what we're doing is, because we're creating a much more level surface from Lake Drive to the front of the new house, I also graded it so it's crowned a little bit, like slightly, and then so it would pitch it to the sides, so it kind of spreads the water out as opposed to concentrating it. And then, we were just proposing regular splash pads for erosion control with any roof leaders, and then kind of disperse it instead of having everything go to one single spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously it's going to be a new lawn. So we didn't feel it was necessary to put in any kind of a leaching, dry well system, considering it's all sand. But we are concerned we don't want to have any washout, especially with a nice new septic and a facility up, or house up there. So just to summarize, so we are addressing it on the street level by also putting a berm, kind of like one of those gravel berms like on the edge of the road, not like not a ditch, but just kind of a mound that will take the street flow and keep that moving where it should, and then any rainfalls on their site would be dispersed through the grading.
So
I got a question.
So you're saying that you're going to put a berm along the road to prevent road runoff from accessing the property? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, that was what the Board of Health had requested. So if you look to the lower left-hand side, there's a bubble. That was one of our revisions to the plan for the Board of Health. It says create small 4-inch gutter berm along the front edge. So that's what that's referring to. It's commonly done on I think it's actually done on this street further up at different driveways. It's just so that, how the roads are gently crowned like that. And then, so it just doesn't run off right into their property. It's like a little bit of a berm just to continue that pseudo gutter flow further down the road, as opposed to washing out the gravel onto the properties.
But the water has to get to the lake somehow. I mean, I do have a concern with everyone putting berms between their property and the road, that the few people who don't have berms end up bearing the brunt of all of the road runoff. So what's your comment about that?
The Board of Health required us to do that. We're trying to comply with them.
Well, I'll certainly.
Yeah, I mean, I do have another thought. It's certainly a valid point. That was what was mentioned and brought up at that meeting. I designed Susan Panlilio's septic system, which is, you could see it on this plan, house 28, 2 driveways up.
Mm-hmm.
At that point in time, they proposed it was suggested to us to put in like instead of a berm, basically the opposite, which is an infiltration, kind of a trench, trench. That way it absorbs the water versus continuing it down the road, but it also helps slow it down and mitigate it from surcharging onto the property. That's maybe a potential solution. The only concern I have with that, Susan's system is a little different than this one because it's a pump system, so it gets dosed differently, and her driveway is not immediately adjacent to her septic, whereas Steve so if we infiltration right there, I'm just concerned it may compromise, some of the, in the wet season, some of the bleaching treatment, but without doing a scientific study on it.
Right.
Those are just a couple ideas. A berm or like a stone trench.
Yeah, I mean, it is like a long-range concern of mine that everyone seems to be shunting the runoff off to someone else's property. And I think as new projects come before the commission, each homeowner needs to take responsibility for addressing some proportion of that runoff. So I would like to see a plan that accommodated that to some degree.
I'm with you on that, Penny. I feel the same way looking at that berm, because all the sites that we saw along the lake, a lot of people are taking on everybody else's water, and I think something needs to be addressed on that berm.
So I would like to see a revision that accepts a portion of the, a share of the runoff and helps it get down to the lake safely without damaging the septic system, of course, but also gets down to the lake without being shunted off to another neighbor's house. So I will ask that it be worked into a revised plan.
Okay. I think that's a fair comment.
Other people have questions?
No, I agree with your point, but I have no other questions.
And as far as I know you're raising the grade along the road there to accommodate the septic system. What will the final surface be for over the leach field and for the parking area?
It's just going to be lawn.
It'll be lawn. So the parking area will be lawn as well?
That's my understanding. Is that correct, Steve?
Yeah.
You were just going to do parallel parking in the front on your frontage?
Okay, so it won't be some sort of impervious surface?
No.
Okay.
How deep is that well going to be?
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't recall how deep Susan's went. I don't even want to fathom a guess. But I'm sure we could find out quickly. Steve, any ideas? Have you talked to any well drillers
No.
in the area?
No.
They usually have a good idea.
Yeah, they say you can go 10 feet and it'll be a lot different over, so.
Yeah, I know that that's often the case. It's really hard to predict until you get in there with the equipment. Trying to get back to my pardon me for just a minute. I'm trying to get back to my other documents to take a peek.
Katie, we're not ignoring you. We just need to wait till the commission asks all their questions before we get to you.
So I do have one question about your notice of intent form under general information 7A. I don't see anything checked for a project type checklist. Was that just an oversight, or is that just
Hang on, Penny.
is that just an artifact of this being a PDF?
Are you on 7A?
Yes, I'm on
It says
7.
single family home is checked.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I have the
Okay.
printout. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a buffer zone only project.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. 1 minute. So I'm just quickly looking through your order of work here to make sure I don't have any questions about that. Okay. Other commissioners, do you have questions?
I do not at this point.
I'm all set.
Likewise.
Okay. Liam, would you let our other visitors in so they can ask questions?
Yeah, sure thing. Katie, if you want to go ahead.
If each person could identify themselves, it'd be really helpful too. Thank you. This is Linda.
There, Liam, thank you for acknowledging me. There was a call for more questions, and I thought that included the peanut gallery at the time. I'm Katie again. I did this at the beginning of the meeting, but Linda, if you would like me to identify myself again, I am Katie Stroh.
Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. I just can't always identify voices. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I have a few questions about this, and I apologize if they're kind of out of order. So the site plan that we're looking at, it's not like the most recent site plan that I've seen. I do notice, I guess where the proposed, no, let me back up. The proposed porch, that is a new addition to that. Looks like that's extending the footprint of the structure. Is that correct? From what's existing?
Yep.
Okay. And then you were talking about potentially relocating the proposed location of the well. You wanted to get it as far away from the leach field as possible. And pending your answer, I will have a follow-up question potentially. Why is that? Why do you want it as far away as possible? What happens between the leach field and the well?
So in general, Katie, it's just general practice to try to keep the wells as far as you can. Considering the owner has control of their own well on their own property, because we did have to request, you may have been present or you may have been notified, well, you were notified for the Board of Health public hearing, because we are closer than the 100 feet and the 75 feet to neighboring wells, we do have to make that notice. It's just good general practice. I mean, they could have their own well up 50 feet away, 51 feet away. We just figured we had the available lot, we had control of it, and we'd get it as far away as we could. And it's immediately down gradient. But I mean, the risk for contamination is slim to none with considering the science of these leaching chambers and everything.
And we are keeping with all the other nearby properties, all their wells are by the water. So that was really the driving force there too.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering what like the methodology was behind the science, like what's the reason? Like what leaches, what is considered a contaminant? What's the problem? Why wouldn't you want it, right next door to it? What gets contaminated? And with what? Fecal matter? Like I don't know a lot about this stuff. Like why do you want the separation at all?
Right. I mean, it's a great question. Just to preface, I'm a civil engineer. I'm not a biologist or a scientist in that regard. But from what I've learned over the years is that potentially, let's say your septic system doesn't get treated within the system. Let's say it fails for whatever reason. And let's say you have a well draining sand and your well's really close and it's a shallow well. There is a potential for fecal coliform bacteria and or other bad microbes that could potentially contaminate a well. So the rule of thumb is to stay as far away as you can. But again, the likelihood in this case, in this instance, and the way this whole street's been developed over the years and all the various approvals and all the various water testing, the Board of Health indicated to us that there's never been issues on this street with all these new septics and wells. It's just, we were just trying to keep that distance as good general practice. So moving it 10 feet, 15 feet here and there, I don't think is going to make a bit of difference. It'll only help protect from the waterway itself, which is another resource.
Right, and this is Penny. I'm going to just jump in for a minute. Often in small lots like this, there are trade-offs between what the Board of Health requires and what the Conservation Commission requires, because you're trying to fit a lot of stuff into a small space. So you probably gathered, if you were listening to the conversation before, you know, the Board of Health made a recommendation about what to do with potential runoff from the road that is at odds with what the Conservation Commission would like to see. And it's the same sort of thing here. The Board of Health would like the septic system for public health reasons, just as was described, to be as far from the well as possible. And at the same time, the Conservation Commission would prefer not to have a major excavation less than 10 feet from the shoreline of the lake, just to prevent any sort of issues with contaminating that particular resource. So, you know, these are hard sites to get everything in and keep everyone happy. So I hope that that helps a little bit.
It does. Thank you very much. What's considered a shallow well?
So I'm going to butt in for a minute. These are Board of Health questions, and they're not really within the purview of the public hearing here. You know, that is something that when this was before the Board of Health, I'm sure they could talk to you about this, but it's not really, the depth of the well is not really part of what we're considering tonight.
Okay, no, it was just, I was curious. That's all.
Yeah, and I don't really know. Maybe someone else knows, but.
Yeah, it'd be like 50 feet or less,
okay.
Typically, yeah.
I just don't often have folks that might know stuff about this to ask, so I figured I might as well, you know, strike while the iron is hot, take advantage of the opportunity. Thank you, Jeff.
Sure.
All right, and please feel free to nix any of these questions, and I apologize for my crappy webcam. It's very distracting. All right, so that's that guy. Oh, and then I guess the berm. That was the next thing that I wanted to touch on. I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking at in this site plan, but I did want to mention that we get all the water from off the hill. So that's already a lot of water. And what I think I'm looking at here with the berm, it would push more water onto really 34 and 30. Are those what the curves in the site plan are? It's gonna like siphon the water off from 32 into the neighboring properties with the R50s and the curvatures that are out on the road there.
Those are the radius to wells.
Yeah, that's a measurement to the local, like the nearby wells. That's not
Yeah, those just represent dimension lines. Where the berm would go, we don't actually show a berm, we just have a note that calls out for it. So the contractor would build it. It's basically just kind of a curvilinear, like a mound, if you will, kind of along their edge. But it sounds to me like we're probably not going to go in that direction for various reasons. And I didn't know that it was such a concern. And I actually agree with the members, with the commission members, because if everybody does this, it's the last person at the end of the run that's going to get all the water. So if each little frontage has to take their fair share, then we design a leak off for it and put some stone there and put a little area for it to infiltrate. So I think that's going to go away, but I need to talk with Steve and Megan offline and come up with a revision for the plan. But I think, what is your house, Katie? Are you 34? Or are you
Yeah,
one of
34. You got it.
Okay, okay.
So I'm going to interrupt this discussion for just a minute because we have kind of a complicated evening tonight. We need to quickly address an 8 o'clock continued public hearing, which will take about 2 minutes. So I'm going to pause our discussion on 32 Lake Drive, and I'm going to open the continued public hearing for the ANRAD at ZG-2 Pratt Corner Road East. And I'm going to make a motion that we continue that hearing to 8 p.m. on July 23rd. Can someone make a second?
I second that motion.
Okay. Let's take a vote. Please state your name and vote.
Robin Harrington, aye.
Russ Missoula, aye.
Liam Cregan, aye.
Kenny Jakes, aye. Thank you. Did you get that, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, so now we can go back to 32 Lake Drive. So Katie, do you have more questions?
I had a question. Is there going to be a vent for the septic system?
No, actually, in this case, we were able to avoid it.
Oh, what does that mean? How?
Means they don't need one based on the technical requirements for Title V and the dimensional requirements. If we're less than 50 feet in length and we don't have a driveway over it and it's not a pump system, we don't need a vent.
All right.
Yeah, good
Okay.
question.
So I know Karen and Roy have questions as well. Katie, have you had all your questions addressed?
I think I am all set. Thank you very much,
Okay.
everybody.
So Liam, can you unmute Karen and Roy and see what they would like to ask?
Yes, I am attempting to unmute as we speak. Unmute all. Let's see. Huh. Having difficulty unmuting Karen and Roy.
You might have to ask them to do it, Liam.
Okay.
How'd I do?
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
You did
thank
great.
you.
You did it.
First of all, I want to say this has been a great session. Thank you so much to everybody.
We don't get that
And,
very
this is
much.
Karen Keegan from 34 with Roy LeClaire. And I just want to say that I do have a huge concern with that berm, and I'm glad that it was brought up by the commission and that it's going to be reviewed and hopefully something else can be worked out.
Yeah, honestly, I would love everyone on that road get together and figure out what to do with runoff, but that's outside of our jurisdiction to make that happen. But as I drive down Lake Drive, I see that there are winners and losers for sure.
Yes, there are.
And it's a difficult thing to permit it project by project rather than it happening in a more organized fashion where everyone is involved, because there's really no good solution until that happens. But yes, I think I agree with you completely.
Could you tell me, do you have any suggestions who we might bring that up with, like with the association or?
Well, I would think the association would be a good place to start. It's a challenging thing because the lake has a very peculiar relationship with the town on this, in that the town doesn't maintain those roads. So if there were town roads, the town would probably go in and fix something like that. But because it's a series of private properties, I think it's a much more challenging process. But you do have a roads committee, and we've worked with them on a project or two on the other side of the lake, and things have come out pretty well. So getting them involved might be a good place to start.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
I've dealt with them before and they've been very helpful on another issue.
Yeah, well, it seems to be a good group of people right now. Not to say that other groups haven't been good, we just haven't dealt with them as much. So go for it.
And, you know, I'm not sure if this is a question in this venue here, but the porch was brought up, which I didn't realize was happening. And I'm wondering, do Steve and Megan have to go for a special variance to go outside the footprint?
Yeah, this is just another step of the process. We're just
So-
showing, because we have, I think everything kind of, we're showing that what we're proposing is within the 25-foot bordering vegetated water, I believe that is. And
Yes.
so that shows that once that's shown, then it can be taken up with zoning. Because the setback is, to apply for a special permit, you have to show that you're within that, that setback is met. So that's why that's on that plan, so we can bring this up with the zoning board.
Okay, great, thanks.
So there will be a process for that as well.
Okay,
So
Thank you.
yeah, so Steve and Megan are learning all about town politics or town boards as they go through this
Right.
process.
thank you. Karen out.
Okay. So so what I would like to, unless anyone else has questions that need to be addressed, we don't have any other members of the public, do we, Liam?
No.
Okay. What I would like to recommend is that the plan be revised, that we continue this hearing, that this plan be revised to show some methodology for accommodating a portion of runoff off the road, and that the new plan show the well in a slightly more distant from the lake location. And that we continue this until our meeting in, I guess our next meeting is
In July, no, yes,
July 11th.
July
July 9th?
July 9th. Are the applicants amenable to that?
Sure. Yep, with that. I had a question after we're done with this about the other, about the dock.
Oh, okay. And we may not be able to answer that, but we'll try.
motion, etc.
Okay, so I move that we request the applicant and the engineer to revise the plan to relocate the well further from the lake and to address runoff issues along the road, and that the hearing be continued until July 9th. Holy moly, at what time? Can we do it at, we have a busy night. Well, we may have a busy night that night.
7:15.
Yeah, I was gonna say 7:15 before our other two meetings, public hearings. So that's my motion. Anyone want to make a second?
Liam
I
Cregan
second the
seconds.
motion.
Okay, shall we vote in our traditional way?
Liam Cregan,
Okay.
aye.
Liam, Kenny Jake's aye.
Robin Harris, aye.
Russ Missoula, aye.
Okay, so thank you everyone for your patience in us muddling through doing one of these online for the first time.
Great. Good job. It went well.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll second that.
So,
Penny, I had a question.
oh, sure, go ahead.
So this is Jeff, the engineer. So how far in advance of that next meeting do you need revised plans for the commission to look at?
Well, it shouldn't be too complicated. If we could,
No.
could we have them a week before?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah, I still have to talk, offline with Steve
Sure,
and
of
Megan, and
course.
come up with a solution. The well's easy. The drainage idea, that'll require a little more thought and
Mhm.
creativity. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. And somebody had a question about the dock.
Well, that was Stephen Mikolajczyk, the property owner. The state required that. I just wasn't familiar with the process, that's all. So we filled out the paperwork. We had Jeff get that on the plan. So I just didn't know. It seems like that's two independent things, that and the site plan review. So I just wasn't sure what, if the Conservation Commission contacts the state about.
No, Linda, do you want to weigh in on that? I feel like you know more about this than any of us.
So you're right that the state DEP Waterways Division is responsible for the Chapter 91 license. However, part of that process is notifying, the commission be part of it. And since you already are in an application, a notice of intent process with the commission, so that kind of creates a place for the Chapter 91 to come to the commission, so that the commission is aware that in this case, there's already a dock and there's already a retaining wall, so it's not something new. But as part of the commission's issuance of their order of conditions, they'll acknowledge that you have a seasonal dock and that there's a retaining wall, and if they have any conditions regarding the taking in and taking out of the seasonal dock.
Oh, okay. I just wasn't sure of the process. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, well, then we are going to finish up some other business, scheduling site visits and getting through the rest of our agenda. And thank you all for coming.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you for the meeting. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next month.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we were talking about scheduling site visits, and we were honing in on 10 a.m. possibly next Tuesday. Yes?
Yeah, Tuesday the 30th.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
10 a.m. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I will communicate with folks and get you set up.
Okay, great.
Right.
I'll let you know. I'll get on. I should be able. I'll send them an email tomorrow, and hopefully I'll receive an answer by Monday to be able to confirm with you.
Okay.
Excuse me, that's 2 site visits on Tuesday?
It's 3.
3 really. Two properties, 24 Lake and 52 Shore, and then looking at the new pipe on Lake Drive.
What number is it at, you know?
What?
The pipe on Lake Drive?
It's somewhere near the intersection with Great Pines Drive. And I hope that the person who called with concern, I asked them if they could call me back. That would be at the Concom phone line, and let me know of any additional details they might have about exactly where it's located. So hopefully I'll have more information for you. So, you don't have to, but you should be able to notice it because it's, just be a week and a half old by the time you see it.
Okay.
I was talking with Howard Kinder. Someone called me and was concerned that the water coming out of the dam wasn't much. The brook is drying up. And I said, that's Howard Kinder. And I explained to Howard, he'll have to set something up. He wants us all to come down there and see where the dam is and the water, that little shack, what he does in there. He says, I want people to know what I do, but he believes there's still enough water coming out. But I told him to contact you, Linda, so he can set up something so we can do a site visit down there. We don't have to be on Tuesday, but we'll have to go down. He wants us to observe what's going on.
Well, I know we're moving into drought conditions, so, this may be.
Well, that's what he explained.
Right. Yeah, I think if we go another week without rain, we will officially move into drought conditions in Western Massachusetts. So there may not be a lot that can be done.
Right. Yeah, I've been in the woods a bit, and lots of the seasonal streams are pretty dry or almost completely dried up that I'm used to seeing flowing this time of year.
So, okay, other issues that we haven't gotten to?
I don't think so. So you do, on the 9th, Baker Road is at 8 o'clock. I mean, Carver's at 7:30 and Baker is at 8 for the ANRADs. And so we're just going to have to kind of see where things are at that point. I can't imagine that Town Hall is going to be open and ready for a public meeting on the 9th.
Right. Well, I have a great hope that after this complicated town meeting, that people in Town Hall can discuss how to move forward with some level of opening of the building.
Right. Penny, though, it's going to be some time before we're actually able to hold a meeting.
Well,
Penny, I mean, we're having town meeting because it's an actual requirement. And I know that our meetings are required, but we don't think of the room downstairs and how it could possibly be configured even for us to be there 6 feet apart.
well,
No.
yeah, well, we can talk about this
Yeah.
next meeting,
Yeah.
but
So, I don't know, we'll just see where things are when we get there. When we get closer.
okay. Well, for those of you who are town residents, I urge you to go to town meeting and see how they can do that with everyone 6 feet apart. That's going to be an interesting day. Anyone else have any closing remarks?
Nope.
Okay, well then, I move that we close our Conservation Commission meeting at 8:24 p.m. We have a second.
Zula, second.
All in favor, state your name and vote.
Robin Harrington, aye.
Liam Cregan, aye.
Russell Zula, aye.
Penny Jakes, aye. So thank you all.
Thank you, Penny.
Thank you, Liam.
Yeah, no problem. Good work,
for
everybody.
helping.
And
Liam.
yeah, thanks for being the monitor there, Liam,
No problem.
gatekeeper. And so Linda, will hear from you about the site visits.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to just reclaim host